It's the Smart Driving Cars podcast. We are glad you have found us again. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the faculty chair of autonomous vehicle engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alan.
Hey, good afternoon, Fred.
Good afternoon. It's been a very interesting year with some long-awaited progress when it comes to providing mobility, rides to people who really need them. And that has been a focus for decades at ITN America, the first and only national nonprofit transportation network for older adults and people with mobility challenges. And with us from Maine is the founder and CEO, Katherine Freund, and another special guest, Marian Sturtevant. Hi, Katherine and Marian.
Hi.
It is really great to see you both. So let's start with some background, Katherine, and Marian's history with you as well.
Well, why don't I let Marian tell you her history with us? She can tell the story much better than I can.
Well, I've ridden with you people, I think, for 30 years, maybe a little longer. And I've been left at the place where they were supposed to pick me up. This is in the beginning, and I might be waiting 20 minutes or something. Only once did they ever forget me. But outside of that, now it's just like it's cream of the crop. When you ask for a ride at certain time, that's when the ride is there. And they take it, and they're very kind and nice drivers. And you laugh at this. Only one time in my experience have I had a driver that I would not like to drive with again. And it wasn't his driving ability. But anyway, I really enjoy the service because I've never driven in my life. And if I want to go somewhere, who do I call? ITN. And then, of course, I do like to help them too. And I do finish up their bills and mail them for them each month, as long as I'm around.
And how many years have you been volunteering to help us?
A little over 30.
No, volunteering to send the bills out.
Oh, probably 20, 15 maybe.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 15
Yeah.
to 20. Yeah. I can't remember exactly when.
Yeah.
And so it's a very interesting organization to work for. Or I don't really work for them, I just help them. So it makes a big difference. And there are people that work for them. I've always enjoyed them. They're kind and they try to do their jobs very efficiently. And they run into a lot of snags. And I understand that. I've worked in an office for many years.
Well, Katherine, I think before we have Alan jump in here, because he's anxious to jump right in.
I am anxious to jump in.
Explain to our audience a little more fully exactly what ITN America is and how you've been able to provide mobility to people who need it.
Okay, sure, Fred. Thank you. So ITN America stands for Independent Transportation Network of America. And I guess I developed the ideas for this when I went back to school at, I think, 40 and studied public policy and looked at the unmet transportation needs of older Americans from an economic perspective, from a legal perspective, every perspective. Public policy is an interdisciplinary degree. So you look at it from all different angles. And sort of figured out that people were driving cars because they like cars, and that you could, just because you couldn't drive a car anymore past a certain point in your life, didn't mean that you didn't like it and you didn't want to be in it. So we developed the idea of providing transportation for people in private automobiles. Long before Uber, long before Lyft, we said, look at all that transportation capacity sitting in driveways, and how do we convert that into mobility for older people? So we developed a volunteer transportation model with the idea that if we could make it work here in Portland, Maine, that we could replicate that in other communities around the country and connect it into a national network. And that's what we did. So I got a couple numbers for you here. We have driven 8.5 million miles. We've provided 1,750,000 rides. Those are door through door, arm through arm. And we see the median age of the people we serve is 80. So Marian's a little bit older than that, 19 years older than that. I drive Marian to church on Sundays, by the way. She's my ride every week. She gets in the front seat and we catch up, right?
Right.
When you're going to visit your son, he lives in New Hampshire, and what's happening. She's got how many different organizations you volunteer for?
Oh, I'm down to just 3 now.
Okay, all right. If she's putting together a bunch of things for the rummage sale, she'll show me all the different piles. This goes here, this goes. Anyway, we've become friends. So we've driven a lot of miles over the years, and we've served a lot of people. Right now, we have over 5,000 people in the system across the country. We've got about 100 nonprofit organizations in our national network, and we just added another 50 more, so up to 150 now. And guess what? I've got a list here for you of fun rides over 30 years. So what do you think is the most fun ride that people do?
Get their hair done.
Play games.
That's it. It's get their hair done. It's over 60,000 rides to take people to get their hair done. And the second most popular ride is going to exercise. You hear about healthy aging, you hear about aging in place, you hear about, people being lonely and isolated if they haven't got transportation. But if you have good volunteer transportation, you can get your hair done, you can go to exercise. And gambling, about 9,000 rides to gamble over that time. So,
Did they win?
I don't know. I just, people have a lot of stereotypes in their minds about transportation for older people. They think pretty much it's like go to the doctor, go to church. That's it. That's what that people have in their heads. But the truth is that, when you're 80 years old, if you liked gambling when you were 25, you still like it when you're 80, right? And if you care about getting your hair done and looking right, you care about getting your hair done and looking right for your whole life. You don't just want to go to the doctor. So it's kind of a well-rounded approach, and that's what we do. That's what we support.
I'm sure happy that I'm not 80. Okay, so therefore, I don't need to. Do I have hair to get done? Maybe. I'm not sure if I have hair to get done.
Alan, I think she's got a story for us about dating also.
What? Oh, I do.
Oh, no. Oh, I certainly don't do any of that. Okay, go ahead.
Well, this was out in California, in Los Angeles, and it was a 90-year-old man who had found someone he wanted to go out with on Match.com. And so he spoke to the executive director of the ITN out there and said, I really want to go on a date, but can I use this service to go on a date? She said, yeah, of course you can. And she drove him. She took him out on his date. I've taken people out on dates. There was one man, he rode with us in the very beginning, and he set up a ride for his wife and all her friends to go to lunch, right? So I picked him and his wife up, and then we made a circuit, and we picked up all of her friends, and we took them to lunch. And then, he was in the front seat. He didn't get out of the car. I said, Harry, aren't you going to lunch? He said, oh, no, I'm the driver.
That's great.
Right? I mean, he, of course, I was the driver, but he considered himself to be the driver. And so he took them where they wanted to go. He didn't have to be in the car, but he was with them. He took them where they wanted to go. And then I took him home. And that's the kind of sense of mobility that you really want people to have. That is, if you're the driver, you're in charge and you're in control. And you're in control of your own mobility and the people you're giving rides to. And, that independence is something that matters to people See, Marian's shaking her head. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. I always say that the things that really matter most are the things, I call them the things that float in the air, right? That's like things like courage, love, family, neighborhood, the things that are like clouds, right? They're there, but you can't quite tell what the boundaries are. You can't quite hold them in your hand. But those are the things that really matter. Those are the things that really matter.
And that's really what good mobility can provide. And I think your example with that gentleman, him considering that he is organizing mobility and a joyful time out for all these ladies, even though he just organized it with you. And you actually did the driving where he couldn't, just gave him that sense of achievement that is, that it's you can't nobody out there. I don't know of an academic that's out there measuring that stuff. Okay. And this is what ends up being really important in the provision of this mobility, the freedom that those of us that still drive have. But my goodness, as soon as they take those keys away, whoa, you're done. And I'm going through this period with my own sister, who, you should not be driving. Okay. You're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. Okay. Come on, get a ride. Okay. And trying to make sure she has home care and let the home care service person give her the ride that she needs. I don't know. I don't think ITN America is in Chardon, Ohio, or southeastern Cleveland. I doubt it. I don't know how much Uber and Lyft is out there, but certainly a home caregiver can do that. My sister should not be driving, but boy, she just loves to go to Giant and go take her car there. She loves to go get her hair done. All these sort of fundamental daily values to
Right.
improve the person so that they can have a half decent life, right?
Right. Yeah. No, mobility, it's a feeling as much as it's a capability, right?
That's correct.
That I think that's what separates us, the plants and the animals, phylum, kingdom, genus, order. Remember that,
Yeah, well, yes.
It's got a
Or
name. Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Maybe whether or not we want to be separated, I'm not sure. We can decide
Well,
at some other point. Okay. Some trees live a heck of a long time and have a lovely life. I don't know.
We're alive and the plants are alive,
Yeah,
right? All the
right.
plants all over the earth, they're alive.
Yeah.
But they're basically rooted.
Yeah.
They're alive and they're still and they're quiet.
Yeah.
We're alive and we move and we're noisy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's hitting me.
Right. And no, it's a very fundamental thing. Movement is a very, very primal thing. And I think that's one of the reasons it matters so much to all of us, right?
Right.
Our freedom lives in that mobility in many ways. So
Well, I mean, this all, of course, rings in our ears too. We're approaching it a little bit differently. Instead of with the elderly community or people who can't drive because of physical constraints, really, you should not be driving. We're trying to deal with it with those who economically find themselves stuck. Okay, sure, they might be able to walk it, but how far can you really walk it? And if you have to be far, if you want to go places that are farther than that, then what about the affordability aspect of this thing? And in some places we do have some amount of transit available, and it is very affordable from the consumers. The problem is, if it goes to where you're going, beautiful, great, wonderful, beautiful.
Right.
Problem is that where things are laid out don't necessarily are not on a string. And at the times when one is operating along that string, so one needs the kind of service that you're offering, which is when do the person want to go to where they want to go, as opposed to who knows who decided that the bus line's going to be down here and whatever and so on. I mean, um, mobility is a two-dimensional spatial problem, not a one-dimensional problem. And one-dimensional solutions on that two-dimensional spatial just doesn't cover it well enough. So we're trying to do a better covering.
Spoken like a true professor. You have evolved, Katherine, I think, into somewhat of a technology company too, I suppose out of necessity. Tell us about that.
Sure, but Marian wanted to say something, so I want
Yes, Marian.
ITN has given me the opportunity that I can volunteer, and they drive me to wherever I'm going to volunteer. And last year, I was named Volunteer of the Year for the city of Portland, Maine.
Wow.
And it was all because I was able to get there.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's a pretty solid testimonial.
Is it?
So to answer your question about technology, I'm going to connect it to something Alan was just talking about, which is basically mass transit, which moves along routes. And, you know, to make transportation affordable, it has to be efficient. And before the advent of as much information technology as we currently have, you know, when we just had telegraphs and telephones, right? That was communication technology, but information technology has really revolutionized mobility, because before the current technology, the only way to create efficiency in transportation was to move a whole bunch of people together along a predetermined route or predetermined schedule. That's why high occupancy vehicles who bring people together either in airports or at, you know, for ocean liners or for trains or for buses, right? You bring everybody together into one place and you put them into one large vehicle, and then you have a lower cost per ride and a more affordable transportation system. That only works where you have high density populations or where people will come together specifically to get into a high occupancy airplane, right? But now, because of information technology, we can know where all the vehicles are all across the map, and we can know where the people are and put them together, instead of having the people come to the vehicle, which is mass transportation, we can have the vehicle come to the person, right? That's how ITN works, and that's how Uber and Lyft work, right? So that's a revolutionarily different way to do transportation for the general population. You could always do transportation. You could have your horse and carriage at your house, right? And that's personal transportation. You got one vehicle and one family or one person. But the way we can do it now is the vehicle can be in a completely different place and send it through technology to the person, right? So it's very different now. And we're still experiencing lots and lots and lots of changes in this model. You know, individual trips remain very, very expensive. That's, I think, why a lot of the transportation network companies are moving meals and packages and things like that to make their business model work, because just moving people turns out to be really expensive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and are you sure you're not the professor and I'm the student here, Katherine? That is like perfect. It is perfect, and it is. And really, the way you make it, the way you can make it affordable is because you leverage the volunteer in this whole process, and
yes,
and you provide appropriate incentives and values to the volunteers so that you can do it affordably. And
Right.
I applaud you for doing that, because it is not easy to be able to find volunteers and have people help, but it requires a sense of community, a sense of cooperation, which is part of what you've created in ITN to be able to do that.
Well, thank you. We're trying. Most people don't realize this. You know, you do, Alan, because you're in the transportation business, but the largest cost of transportation is not the vehicle, it's not the insurance, it's not the fuel, it's the cost of the driver, it's labor. And people don't experience that when they're driving their own car because they don't pay themselves. They just get in the car and they do it. But the hourly rate, especially with minimum wage going up all over the country, the cost of labor is the biggest cost in transportation. That's why autonomous vehicles are going to be so important, because that's the other way to reduce or eliminate that cost, autonomous vehicles. But currently now, it's volunteer transportation that makes that transportation affordable. And so,
And
so
for
we
the
do that.
for the market that you have, the volunteer really serves as an asset to the delivery of the mobility, because the person that you are taking really appreciates and needs that person to help them, or at least make it comfortable for them. So it's very important that you have that. But if one goes to the broader transportation market, beyond just the seniors, where people don't really need somebody, then there is an opportunity to maybe throw more technology into this and provide them also now the high quality, affordable mobility. But your point with affordability is absolutely true. Two things have made you affordable. One is the ability to have the volunteers. Two is the technology that you have behind there that allows you to manage the vehicles, the volunteers, so that they are very productive in that. If one looks at somebody working for Uber and Lyft, they might be getting paid while they're giving the ride, but how long did they sit around and wait for that ride? Okay. And now, if it doesn't really matter and they do, but if they're really out there looking to be able to do it over a substantial period of time and feed their family, then they have to have rides all the way one after the other. Otherwise, they're sitting around. And who's paying them for? And so all of a sudden, if you have them sitting around, your costs not only go high because you got to pay them for waiting, not only for driving, you have to pay them for waiting. And oh my goodness, then the technology to now manage the fleet, manage the volunteers, manage that is critical to having a chance to be able to provide it affordable.
And I think we should mention that, Katherine, you're not there in Portland directing rides all over the country. You are providing the backbone for others around the country, other organizations, to run operations, correct?
Yeah, we have a number of different kinds of technology. We have operational technology called ITN Rides, and it's built specifically for volunteer nonprofit transportation programs. So it manages volunteers, and it has a number of innovative programs that we've invented that access resources in many different forms. For example, there are a lot of people who volunteer to drive other people. Whether they're working for a nonprofit or not. Here a typical example is you'll have, say, 4 or 5 women who are friends, and one of them drives and the other 4 don't. And so that one will take all the others grocery shopping and to the card game they want to go to or whatever. And then that one person has a health issue. Maybe it's a stroke, maybe it's a hip replacement, it's something, right? Well, the whole little system of 5 people, depending on that one person, goes down. And all of the years that that one person drove all the other people, that labor cost is gone. It's evaporated. But in a system that says, okay, if you're driving all these other people, we're going to give you credit for that, and we're going to store it electronically in our technology. And that's going to become basically transportation Bitcoin, right? It's electronic currency. We store it in your account, and then when you can't drive, you pull that equity out and someone else will drive you, right? So,
that is just beautiful. Okay.
oh, thanks.
No,
So
it is. I
it
mean,
works perfectly.
it's elegant as hell, if I may say so, because it allows you to gain some credit, and then the next person comes in there and earns they're doing the driving, and they're doing the managing, and they're earning their credit, and it just allows the whole thing to flow. I mean, it's beautiful.
So I think one of the things we did is we just looked at things differently than other people were looking at them. We said, here's a car you can no longer drive. Instead of giving it to your grandchildren, why don't you trade it to pay for your rides, right? And we'll put it into your personal transportation account. And if you want to volunteer to drive other people as a volunteer, we'll put all the miles you drive as a credit into your transportation account. And then you've got electronic equity, you've got a capital asset that's turned into an operating asset. You could always use cash. We have gift certificate programs to pay for transportation. You know, by the time you're 80, you probably have all the bathrobes and slippers you need. Okay. So
That
families
was nasty. That was nasty. I do not want another Hanukkah or another Christmas gift. I mean, what am I going to do with those? I have stacks of them.
But if you couldn't drive anymore, would you like a gift certificate to pay for your rides? Hell yeah,
heck
you
yeah,
would.
hell,
Exactly.
without a doubt. I mean, take all that stuff, come and I mean, whoa, Elizabeth is just going to throw it away when I go in the hole anyway. So come on, whatever.
Alan, you're too much.
Uh,
There is another aspect to this. I think and some real value that we've skirted around it a little bit, and that's the social aspect of this. This is valuable to people, not just to go from here to there, but my assumption is that they get to know the drivers well, and there's a loneliness epidemic out there that we've all heard so much about, and this is really a social experience as well, besides going from here to there.
I think so. I don't, you chat with your drivers, don't you, Marian?
Oh, yes. And I know they tell me their life, their home life, their problems, and where they work. And I share it with them. Yeah.
and can we? How old are you now?
I'm 99.
Ooh,
And a half.
good. So congratulations. I mean, my goodness. Ooh, I mean, you put
I'm
a
a
lot
very,
of us to shame. I mean, I'm nowhere near 99. I'm only 39, so I'm actually I celebrated my 43rd, 39th birthday, but never mind. That's another issue.
just a kid.
Well, whatever. Congratulations. We look at it as a sense of community, and in fact, in terms of looking at the affordability piece for where it's basically money is the reason why people don't have the mobility as opposed to age, which is really what we're
Absolutely.
trying to deal with. We see this the same thing. It's to get your hair done. It's to visit a friend. It's to play cards, shoot hoops, do whatever across town instead
Yeah.
of having to walk it. And the value proposition is a value proposition of creating a better community and having happier campers out there as opposed to, I don't know, I guess it's fun sitting at home watching a screen, but it gets pretty darn boring after a while.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it's interesting. People don't talk about mobility very much, and it uh well, I call transportation the vascular system of the community. You know, it connects everything. It connects the people, it connects the organizations, it connects the people to the organizations, to healthcare, to food, to everything. And everybody thinks about the destinations, but they completely forget that it doesn't mean anything if you can't get there.
If you can't get there and get there when you want to get there and when you should get there, and that, it's a space-time problem. And if you could move it in time, then yes, you can put it all in one vehicle and just move it to the D. But you can't, because simply because there's a certain time when it's opportune for you to be there, when the other people are going to be there to play cards with you, when what goes on with that. And you're exactly right. Too much of the mobility is about getting to work and being more efficient and getting to work. How about just be efficient when you get to work? But how about allowing you to get to work? I mean, if we look at the community that we're trying to serve here in Trenton, being able to get from where affordable housing exists to where jobs exist, and jobs that whatever, they're not along the bus lines. They just aren't. And some of them are great, fantastic, wonderful. Too many of them aren't. And therefore, if you can't get there, you can't have the job, even though you might be qualified. If you can't punch in on time in some of these jobs, they're not a professor job where I can just saunter into my office anytime I want. I've led the good life. Okay. I mean, you got to punch in on time. You don't punch in on time, you get booted. And so if you can't get there on time and get there on time day in and day out, you have no hope. And so what do? End up staying at home, and I mean, it's brutal. So, providing mobility for just the simple things, as well as things that put food on the table, is just so important. And it's a shame that we don't do a better job for the people that are in the most need. Seniors, as you do, who can't turn the key or press the button to start the car anymore, or should not, or the people who can't afford it simply because they have to feed their families.
Well, the site for more information is itnamerica.org. Katherine, congratulations on all that you've done for decades now.
30 years, boy. 30. We had
30
the 30 years celebration last month, and Elizabeth and I were pleased to attend, and it was just such a tribute to you. You deserve it. I mean, you put in the time, okay, without a doubt, and tenacity. We applaud you.
And
well, you're very kind. Thank you. Thank you.
And Marian, thank you so much for spending time with us as well. And we'll wish you a happy birthday in advance.
Yeah, and maybe, hey, we should have a big birthday celebration. I mean, we should do a little on your birthday. We're gonna get a little cake to do. I mean,
I want a big cake.
Well, we need a big cake because we're going to have a lot of candles. Okay, so that otherwise, it will be the fire marshal is going to come in if we can't spread those candles out over a big cake.
And just put one in the middle.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that would be
Yeah.
In the meantime, we wish you both a wonderful holiday season. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful there in Maine.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much for inviting us into your podcast.
Alan, that was just amazing. But perhaps another headline for us to touch on here. Tesla is testing driverless robo-taxis, not yet with passengers, in Austin, Texas. It's being done with lots of caution and I think a trailing vehicle, at least for now.
Yeah, there may be a trailing vehicle on there. I just saw the videos, but and I applaud them for having a trailing vehicle because look, if something, who knows what, if a meteorite comes out of the sky or something like that, and it's not something that one can handle, the extremely rare event, then maybe the folks in the back can can take the hit and not have that car take the hit or something like that. My own personal philosophy on that is I will never test without an attendant behind the wheel. There's just no purpose in testing without an attendant behind the wheel. If the attendant is not doing anything, it's essentially the same thing as not having a person in there. But to not have the person in there when the reason you take the person out of there is to achieve the affordability piece so that you can give rides affordably. That's the reason for it. Not to say, hey, I don't have anybody behind the wheel. What's the societal value proposition on that? Okay, not at all. The value proposition, the thought is that if you can provide high quality mobility affordably, then some people will improve their lives because of that. And that's why you're doing it. And if you can do that and also not require public subsidy to do that, then that would be fabulous. Because right now, everybody who tries to provide affordable mobility to folks is so hopelessly bankrupt, requires so much public subsidy to do what they do, that the current situations in which you have to have a person behind the wheel just don't, there's no hope. There's no hope to make them. But with the removal of that person behind the wheel, at least in all of our simulations, whatever good the simulations are, there is hope of doing that. And out of that hope is the opportunity to improve the quality of lives of a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't be able to have the mobility that Katherine is providing to seniors. Okay, it's one thing to do it with seniors, but there are a lot of other folks out there that could really benefit from that. So I'm tired of repeating it and repeating and repeating it. Try to not say it again. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what Elizabeth and I are trying to do. That what you, Fred, Elizabeth, and I together are trying to do, and the group that we have together, they're trying to do this. And, you know, we've gone through with Handy Rides a year. We've learned an enormous amount. We know that we can do it. We are confident. We're going forward. We're going to make it happen. For that reason, we're going to provide high quality, affordable mobility to people who really need a ride and improve their lives.
And you don't have to repeat it because it's in the book. The real
It's in
case
the
for
book.
driverless mobility.
I mean, it's been in the book. Everybody can read it. You know,
which you
not a
co-wrote
secret.
which you co-wrote with
It's
Michael
not
Kim.
an IP. You don't have to be afraid of it. Ooh, you're stealing my IP. Oh, please do it.
Another quick Tesla headline. California is delaying any plans to stop Tesla sales and manufacturing in the state for 30 days, a penalty that was suggested by an administrative law judge who found Tesla's naming of Autopilot and FSD misled customers or potential customers into believing vehicles were fully automated. The state is giving Tesla, I think, something like 60 days now to fix any deceptive claims. So we don't know if there's going to be any penalty whatsoever.
Oh my goodness, what deception. Oh, I thought it was fully automated. I mean, when are people going to accept their own responsibility? Okay.
Well, it does tell you in the vehicle.
I get so many advertisements today on my phone that tell me about stuff that just isn't true. Okay. And now, oh my goodness. And of course, if I'm going to be now a jerk and I'm going to try to hop in the back seat and do my stuff, oh, they didn't tell me. I mean, people, get a grip. Accept some responsibility yourself. Sorry.
I'm surprised you didn't.
Whatever.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the ability to drive up the Great Wall of China or something.
I mean, look, the car commercials. I mean, are you kidding? Look at some of those things.
Right.
And talk about every car, essentially every car commercial has me driving a car with nobody else around on the streets. Oh my goodness. Oh, you sold me a car, and when I buy it, there'll be nobody else around. Oh my goodness, that's not deceptive? Are you kidding? General Motors, whatever. What?
Finally, Alan,
But
Waymo.
the administrative
Go
law
ahead.
judge who did this,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I guess you can find administrative law judge. Please cut a lot of that because I'm just going to get myself into trouble
Well,
and
it
people
was,
are
it was
going to
brought by
hate
this.
me and I
I
don't
think
want to be
it was brought
hated.
by the state there, right? So,
Oh, but by the state, oh my goodness. I guess, we won't even discuss what kind of, which party that person was from. Oh my, we can't even discuss that kind of thing. Cut it out.
finally, Alan, Waymo is in talks to raise more than $15 billion in new funding, valuing Waymo at more than $100 billion. It's seeking the funding from Alphabet, the parent company, and outside investors as well. And you
Wow.
just talked about how much money's been poured into this.
100 billion. I mean, yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is. It is, as of today, the only company in the Western world that operates without a driver, without smoke and mirrors. So therefore, since it is the only, it probably deserves whatever valuation all the pump and dumpers want to put on it. Okay. So yeah, sure. And okay. And if it remains
They've
the only
certainly,
one, then it has 100% of the market. And
well,
whatever. And anything that
Tesla
has
wants to have something to say about that.
well,
But
who knows? I guess a lot of people might have something to say about that. Maybe Zooks might have to say something about that. Maybe, even, May Mobility and others and Mobileye and who knows whom, may have a lot to say about that. Who knows? But hey, whatever. Hey, if Wall Street, go for it. I mean, venture, go for it. Whatever. Um, I buy high, sell low. So, not good for me because this is such an opportunity that it's not a buy high, sell low opportunity. I only look for buy high, sell lows.
I'm glad you're not my broker. So, well, we want to thank Katherine Freund from ITN America and Marian for joining us. It's really wonderful. And we want to wish everyone watching or listening a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It works. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta go home and light the candles.
Thanks for watching or listening, and stay safe.